the answer. Upon hearing the nickname, a young Allen Iverson instantly grew attached to it. He was the answer to all situations. The league needed a torchbearer to carry the flame after Michael Jordan's retirement. Allen Iverson was the answer. The 76ers needed a franchise player to bring them back to glory. AI was the answer. The city of Philadelphia needed an icon who exemplified the rebellious, tough, and hardworking spirit of the city. They didn't need a fictional character like Rocky anymore because they had the answer, Bubba Chuck. Allen Iverson's career was great. He was an MVP, Hall of Famer, top 75 player. He is undeniably one of the greatest guards to ever lace him up. Arguably the most talented pound-for-pound basketball player we've ever seen. And basketball wasn't even his first sport. But AI's impact reaches much further than any of his accomplishments. He changed everything. I'm serious. The crossover, the braids, the shooting sleeve. Everyone wears sleeves now because your arm looks naked without one. He started that. He said to hell with suits and cigars and the alligator steppers. The previous generation rocked that, but he was on his own wave. He's walking down the tunnel wearing baggy jeans, a hoodie, a do-rag, and a fitted. And the league was not a fan of this at all. Let's not forget the 2005 dress code decree, which is usually referred to as the Iverson rule. And this was on top of the constant villainization. Was AI a perfect man? No. But was he an honest man? Well, if you ask anyone who knows him, or has been around him, or has met him on one occasion even, most will answer, yeah, he's an honest man. Even those who weren't on the best terms with him will have nothing but positives to say about him now. Today, the man is showered with love and admiration wherever he goes, especially Philly. So people are surprised when they look back during his playing days and see how he was treated. Trust me, that love and admiration is something that wasn't always there. Take May 7th, 2002. It was a Tuesday, 4 days after the Sixers had lost to the Celtics in the first round. Last year they went to the NBA Finals. They were 4th in preseason odds to win the chip. Boston was 22nd. The season was a disappointment, and those spring days were building up a tempest that had been forming for years now, possibly even longer. And when Iverson skipped practice following his team's exit, a mundane Tuesday would turn into the most infamous press conference in NBA history.
If I can't practice, I can't practice, man. I'm hurt, I'm hurt. Cause we sitting here, I'm supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. I mean, listen, we talking about practice.
This is the part everyone remembers. Iverson is forever linked with practice. Funny enough, it's not like he was habitually missing practices, so he says. If he had one instance of missing practice the whole year, and someone blows that instance out of proportion, the idea that Allen Iverson regularly misses appearances and isn't a conscientious, hardworking player can spread. And that simply isn't the case. This dude played 40 minutes a night for 12 straight years. He played 829 games during that stretch. He's ranked 4th in career minutes per game, the only player in the top 5 that played in the modern era. This man was a gladiator. Regardless of anything else, fans knew AI would suit up every night and give his body to the game. They could never paint the image that this man was some lazy star who squandered his talent because of a lack of effort. But Iverson's issue didn't stem from the accusations of him missing practice, because he didn't deny nor make excuses for his actions. His grievance stemmed from how zoned in the reporters appeared to be with a simple mistake he'd made. We talking about practice, and not the actual game. Let me put it to you like this. If Jason Kidd had missed practice with the New Jersey Nets, would he be hounded the way Iverson was? If Shaquille O'Neal missed practice, would the story ever gain traction? Iverson is the only man who got this treatment, and he knew it, and the man was sick of it.
What you mean I'm the superstar? Why? Why am I the superstar?
Because you're better than they are.
Why am I the super? All right.
One of the best in the NBA.
All right. So why are we talking about me getting traded or leaving, or is a problem with me? No, I'm not.
The Virginia native scoffed at him being labeled a superstar because he wasn't treated like one. He had the fame, the riches, and the love of the fans, but he wasn't given the renown that a superstar receives, especially from the people in his own organization. He led this team to a finals appearance, elevated them from mediocrity, a 26-year-old putting up 31 points per game a night, and one disappointing exit has him on the chopping block. Could you ever picture this happening to any superstar today? That's why he felt so jaded by that title. He didn't receive the treatment he felt he was due after all he'd done for the 76ers in such a short period of time. And when stuff like that started reaching his family, it didn't strengthen his loose relationship with the organization. This is when things get a lot more serious. Iverson's emotions ran a lot deeper than him being irked because of his soured relationship with the team.
I lost my best friend. I lost him, and I lost this year. Everything's going downhill as far as my life. I don't want to deal with this, man. I don't want to go through this shit.
On the 14th of October 2001, Rashawn Langford, called Ra by his friends and family, was shot and killed in the early morning night hours after an altercation at a bar. Ra was a father of 3 sons and a partner to his fiancée. Him and AI were very close friends since they were teenagers. He was often seen waiting for AI at every Sixers practice, sometimes shooting around the court when Iverson was wrapping up. Iverson played his first game of the season on November 11th, a month after the passing of his best friend. He played the whole season with this clouding his mind. He had 5 games to mourn before he suited up and played for the whole season until he broke his left hand in March. How is a player? No. A human being expected to recover from such a tragedy in such a short period of time and perform like nothing had happened. They demanded this man do better than what he'd done his previous season, fresh off of an MVP with all that he was going through, and he still put up 30 a night. But his efficiency plummeted and he had a disappointing exit in the playoffs, and the blame game started. There was no empathy expressed to Allen Iverson during those troubled times. The press was well aware of what happened to his best friend, and they showed zero mercy. What the press focused on was practice. They believed his basketball struggles originated from his poor efforts to practice. His best friend was murdered. That's what plagued his mind. The press wasn't oblivious. You can put 2 and 2 together, but no one cared to extend their hand to a hurting soul. AI was a calamity and he was ruining the 76ers because of his lazy habits and selfish desires. Iverson knew what it was. He knew he was the target, and the fact that the press conference was held while the trial of his friend's murder was happening meant the fuse was already lit. During the entire press conference, not a single reporter asked Iverson a question about the situation, not even when he pointed it out. They chose to ignore it. They focused on him missing practice. That was the headline. That's why it's called the practice rant. The moment is forever ingrained with greater American pop culture. The practice rant is certainly catchier than the my best friend is dead rant.
But I mean, I'm the only one going through it. You don't hear nothing about none of my other teammates. You don't hear nothing about that. It's me. I got to deal with it. When we lose, I got to deal with it. Me.
Allen felt all the blame was placed upon his shoulders. Whenever the 76ers lost, it was all on AI, and now the narrative was detaching him from the rest of the organization. He was the sole reason behind their failed season. In critics' eyes, Allen Iverson deserved to be shopped around.
Yeah, what that mean? I'm the MVP, and I gotta worry about trade talk. I'm the MVP. I'm the MVP of this league. The best basketball players in the world. I was honored with the MVP.
Reigning most valuable player was to blame for his team's faults. He was labeled an inefficient shot chucker who didn't play defense. Let's see if there's any merit to these statements. AI was never going to be an all-defensive caliber player, but he was a steals champ for 3 years in a row, averaging 2.7 steals. Nearly 3 a game is not bad for someone who was already bearing a heavy load on the other end of the court. Was he by any means a clamp artist? No. But was he a defensive liability? Not really. Looking at the top guards in the 2000-2001 season, Iverson's advanced defensive statistics hold up surprisingly well. His defensive win share was 4.5, which was higher than Ray Allen, Jerry Stackhouse, Vince Carter, and Tracy McGrady. And his defensive box plus minus was also higher than all of those guys. Shockingly, his numbers were better in those categories than Kobe Bryant, and it's because of all those steals. Advanced stats are stats at the end of the day, so they favor counting numbers over the eye test, which logically makes sense. Because I can try to convince you that AI wasn't as bad of a defender as history makes him out to be, but I'm not gonna lie and say he was a better defender than Kobe Bean, arguably the greatest guard defender ever. This is a hill I'll die on. Now, pertaining to his shot chucking, he definitely had the habit of doing so, but so did everyone else during that era. You gotta remember, this was the 2000s. You wanna talk about defensive-oriented, sluggish, gritty basketball? The Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan era was the golden age for that style of basketball. If you exclude seasons before color TV and the civil rights movement, the early 2000s had the lowest league averages in scoring, along with the late 90s and 2012 and 13 for some random ass reason. The man averaged 31 points per game in the third lowest scoring era in modern basketball. He accounted for 1/3 of his team's total points. 42% is not bad in that case when the league average was 44%. That was before the times of analytics, so everyone was throwing up crazy shots because they were constantly phase guarding each other and didn't know any better.
But it's all on me. It's all on me. And I mean, I accept it, but it hurt, man. I mean, it hurt. Yeah, I got some that I need to take care, I need to get better in. But everybody do.
They really tested this man, saying that the Philadelphia 76ers would be better off parting with him. Imagine breaking your back for an organization every single night, playing your heart out, standing up to Goliath, but all people care about are your faults, not your greatness. They were looking for any reason to bite his head off, make him the bad guy. Of course it's gonna hurt him. He's a human before anything else.
That's my man. I love him to death. But sometimes he can't take up for Allen Iverson all the time. He got to do his job. He got to. All the time. I love him to death. When he say something up about me, I still love him. Because he's doing his damn job.
Phil Jasner was a well-known Philadelphia beat writer. He covered the 76ers franchise man his whole career, hence the familiarity.
That instead of shooting 40%, if you were in...
What you know about basketball?
I know...
Have you ever played? I ain't never heard of you as no player.
Why is that an issue?
Why is that an issue? Because we talking about basketball.
Suppose you shot 43 or 44%.
I don't know what I'm going to do, man. I don't know. That's God. That's in God's hand. I don't know what I don't know.
Jasner suggested AI should increase his field goal percentage to above 40. Iverson retorted, questioning what Jasner knows about basketball and could possibly enlighten him on. To Jasner's point, AI's field goal percentage was below standard even for him. But basketball isn't a ladder. A guy can't make himself more efficient just from the might of his willpower. And like I mentioned previously, this was before advanced stats with limited floor spacing and a lot more defense. There's two truths you'll unravel trying to prove Allen Iverson was the only shot chucker in the early 2000s. A, that's false. B, Ray Allen would be a machine in today's NBA. To ball players, making and missing truly feels like something out of their control. Every shot taken is one done under certain circumstances that could have been tweaked just a little to turn a clang into a swish. Athletes are not robots. They can't run simulations to find the best possible outcome. Phil Jasner passed away December 3rd, 2010. He covered the 76ers for the Daily News from 1981 up to his departure. He was the Pennsylvania Sports Writer of the Year in 1999. In 2004, he was honored by the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame for his exemplary career as a sports writer. To quote Iverson speaking of Jasner after his passing, "I wish Phil Jasner could be here right now. I know he's looking down on me. I know he's looking down on me, and I know he's smiling right now. We had our ups and downs, like we had our little rifts or whatever, but now he a Hall of Famer. All of the people that helped me, they should feel good about the accomplishment because they helped." Through all that transpired, good or bad, Allen Iverson had nothing but love to show his dear friend. Even when his armor was cracking, he still had a smile on his face confronting his friend, and he never felt slighted by him.
I'm going to go to war for Philadelphia, man. Every time you throw that ball up, I'm going to go to war. I'm going to fight. I'm going to do some that's wrong, and I'm going to do some that's right.
gladiator. No man in this sport has epitomized that title like Allen Iverson. A true warrior who was laying it out every single year, every single game, every single play from tip-off to the fat lady sings. Standing barely 6 feet and 165 pounds wet throughout his career, the man on record has never lifted weights a day in his life.
I do all I can for this city, for this team, for this franchise, for my teammates. I mean, I don't think nobody in the world play harder than me.
The people of Philadelphia revered this man as a god, still do. He's hands down the most iconic Philadelphia athlete ever, and that's saying something considering the amazing athletes that have represented the city of brotherly love. But that kind of love isn't handed out, it's earned, and he earned it the moment he stepped on the court. Allen Iverson was feeding from his own heart. No one would ever question his devotion to the city, and his peers knew firsthand how tough he was, and unlike some greats, he was so respected no man held his tongue when praising the Georgetown guard. Mamba said it perfectly. We all should be fortunate Allen Iverson wasn't 6'5".
Yeah, I love him. Him, as a man. That's what I care about Larry Brown, the man. The coach, that's totally different.
Respect is a two-way street. In regards to Allen Iverson and Larry Brown, they were both on a one-way street heading towards each other. Do you know what happens when you force two alphas to work in conjunction? A struggle for power that alternates every second. Both men had the same vision, compete mightily, but neither of them had won a championship when they crossed paths, so they couldn't accept the other's philosophy of solving the problem. To summarize their issues briefly, because you can make a whole separate video detailing all the confrontations they had, Brown was a fundamental team first, swing the ball to everyone kind of coach, and he ran his team old school, strict and punctual. Allen Iverson could have honestly been the worst superstar to pair with him. It's pretty obvious Coach Brown would have issues with a free-flowing young star who played the most ball-dominant, selfish brand of basketball in the league, his only comp in that department being Kobe. And AI wasn't exactly a saint either. He was clearly at a point in his career where he didn't want an authoritative figure cracking down on his bad habits. Iverson routinely ignored Brown's plays and skipped team meetings and such. Iverson at the time didn't put his best foot forward when attempting to gel with Coach. So Larry Brown's comments were not errant, but Iverson's dispute in this case was with Coach Brown constantly airing out their grievances.
You know, I told Coach Brown, you don't have to give everybody in Philadelphia a reason why people thinking about trading me. If you trade somebody, you trade them to make the team better, and I'm cool with that.
As men who clearly didn't agree with one another but still harbored mutual respect, AI believed comments should be directed face-to-face, in-house, not to a video camera or a man holding a pen and a pad. Years later, both of them would admit they could have handled their situation much better.
If you gonna get rid of Allen Iverson, then get rid of Allen Iverson. Just get rid of him. You ain't got to assassinate his character. Just get rid of him. Simple as that.
Simple as that. Trade the player, don't bury the person. If the reasons behind trading him were purely basketball, this press conference wouldn't garner infamy. Trade Allen Iverson because he was inefficient from the field. Trade Allen Iverson because he was battling a myriad of injuries. Trade him because he was undersized and he didn't facilitate or play lockdown defense. Those reasons AI could accept, but he couldn't accept the shots at his character, his work ethic, or his manhood.
You know, this is why we doing it. This is why, because he don't come to practice, he don't show up on time, he don't lead by example, all that. I want to win, man. That's all I care about.
If a viper shows its fangs, it's not always malicious. Sometimes it's a defense mechanism. Allen Iverson felt targeted by his peoples. The ones who had opened their hearts and their homes to him not so long ago were now shunning him over a false narrative in his eyes. The only man in the last 40 years to take Philadelphia to the dance would help the team even more if he didn't play for them. To Iverson, it felt as if the press was looking for someone to blame for Philly's shortcomings, and he just happened to be in the crosshairs.
I don't care what you say. You can try to put your feet and my shoes, they won't never fit, because you can't go through what I go through in my life. But just try to stick your foot in my shoes, just for one. It ain't even gotta be a damn day, just for 1 minute.
View life through another's eyes. No one is free of regret or mistakes. The man had his issues just like we all do. He made his practice absences problematic. He set the bar too high with an MVP and a finals run. He wore his heart on his sleeve and never wavered when it came to his love for the city. He wasn't the most complete basketball player he could have been. All these things, but he's still human. And the man's actions aren't unforgivable. In a lot of ways, the blame was wrongfully placed on him, and he was already burdened with the worst kind of suffering.
My best friend, dead, and we lost.
One can only pray they never experience what that feeling is like. And the last thing they need at their lowest is someone throwing dirt on their body with a shovel and getting ready to bury them.
I ain't no different, man. I'm just like y'all. I bleed like y'all, I cry like y'all, I got feelings just like y'all. I ain't no different from y'all. But I'm Allen Iverson.
Thanks for watching.
Y'all go home and have y'all lovely life, man. Live it up to the fullest.